A disturbance call ends in a loss of life.
Tonight, eyewitness accounts to a dramatic scene at a North York home. A man dies after being tasered by police. Good evening. The province's Special Investigations Unit has been called in to get to the bottom of what unfolded.
The call ended with officers deploying a taser, and the man who was hit did not survive. CTV's John Muslim has been following the developments and joins us live with more. John.
Security video from a neighbor that shows what happened before this all began, and we can tell you there was a man who was agitated on the front porch trying to smash his way into the home. That's what brought police here and other people who were concerned about what was happening, and now the SIU is trying to determine what caused this.
Police were called to this home near Finch and Keel on Sunday evening just after 5:30. There was an interaction with a 32-year-old man inside. Police said Sunday he was armed with a knife and a taser was used to subdue him. This man lives across the street and he describes what he saw.
I saw someone across the street on the veranda. Literally he was banging on the door or something. It wasn't until then the police started showing up because they pulled into my driveway with the lights flashing and then backed out and started parking. Then I got up to look, and that's when I saw two of the residents there, their renters. One was shirtless and a woman. Already the police were already talking to them.
Police say the man was handcuffed after the taser was deployed, and shortly after, the man went into medical distress. First aid was administered, but the man died at the scene.
We were inside the house when I saw they see all those police there, all those car of police.
Investigators with the province's Special Investigations Unit say they will review officer body camera footage to determine what happened.
These are things that we're going to be looking at. Did the taser play a role in this man's death? Was there any type of physical struggle that might have contributed? Were there drugs in his system?
Investigators say the victim lived in the lower level of the home for the past few months. Neighbors say the home is a rental property, and police have been here before regarding noise complaints. This woman, who did not want to appear on camera, says it's an ongoing problem.
Yelling, screaming. Nighttime, there's always Friday, Saturday parties, drinking, running till 4 in the morning.
Police say other residents were home when this happened. The SIU says a knife was recovered at the scene.
However, how that knife may or may not have played a role is under investigation. As I said, we have not yet reviewed the body-worn camera footage, and witnesses are still being interviewed at this time.
The name of the victim has not been released. An autopsy will be conducted tomorrow to try and determine the exact cause of death.
Now, in the security video that we've obtained, you can see the police arriving on the scene. They're shouting commands at the man that police are on the scene. You also see a woman in the window above me waving for help. There's also people on the street as well. That's what brought police here, this disturbance that began on the patio. And then now the question will be what happened inside this house, what led to the taser being deployed, and what caused this man's death. Reporting live, I'm John Muslim, and I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, John. 3 men convicted in the random shooting death of a Brampton engineer 7 years ago are getting a new trial. 26-year-old Nnamdi Ugba was gunned down in March 2018 while walking to his car near Scarlett Road in Eglinton. Police say he was an innocent bystander and believe the suspects randomly targeted someone in the neighborhood as part of an ongoing gang rivalry. 3 men, Trayvon Miller, Abdullahi Muhammad, and Abdi Rahman Islohi, were found guilty of first-degree murder in 2020. But now the Ontario Court of Appeal overturned those convictions, finding there were several errors in the instructions given to the jury. The Associate Justice says while much of the trial was done right, the point of modes of participation, the jury wasn't given the tools needed to fairly execute their task.
It has happened again. A controversial camera aimed at catching cars speeding on Parkside Drive has been cut down yet another time.
It was toppled over the weekend, the 7th time in 11 months. And tonight there are calls for a different approach to traffic enforcement. CTV's Janice Golding joins us live with this story. Janice.
Hi, Nathan. Yes, a vandal or vandals have struck once again on Parkside Drive. We have reaction now from area residents and local politicians. Early this morning, crews removed the sheared-off pipe where the Parkside Drive speed camera once hung. A camera cut down this weekend for the 7th time in under a year.
The people in this city are ruthless. It's clear that people don't like it.
The camera was installed in 2021 on the eastern border of High Park after 71-year-old Valdemar Avila and 69-year-old Fatima Avila were killed by a speeding driver. The street is now marked with community safety zone and school crossing signs, as well as a sign indicating there's a municipal speed camera in use.
It's necessary. There are cars that speed up and down here despite that at all hours of the day and night.
This latest act of what police call mischief over 5,000 comes just days after CTV News Toronto obtained new footage showing the camera being cut down in real time.
It's incredible. Cutting down so many times and hasn't been caught yet.
I mean, how difficult can it be? I can't catch them, but the police should be able to.
While area residents question why someone hasn't been caught, so too are politicians.
It's embarrassing and it's unacceptable. You know, after the third time, not the seventh time the camera was cut down, Mayor Chow should have convened a meeting with everyone, including with the police chief.
Councillor John Burnside, who was once a Toronto police officer, says there are basic security measures that could be put in place.
High security fences that are very difficult to cut through. You could put those around the camera. You could encase it in concrete.
The mayor herself told CTV News today the situation is an embarrassment.
Every time I hear that, the camera's down again, I cringe.
But she says people have to do the right thing and obey the law, adding this is a police matter.
I love for the police to catch the criminals, maybe 1 or 10. I don't know how many out there.
That response not cutting it for the community group Safe Parkside.
It feels like they've completely abandoned Parkside residents.
Faraz Golizadeh has called on the city to do more, redesigning Parkside to include sidewalks on both sides of the roadway and adding infrastructure to make it safer for cyclists.
Right now, Parkside only has a single sidewalk. The sidewalk doesn't even meet the city's minimum width.
Last November, the city approved a redesign for the road that included both bike lanes and traffic calming measures. But those plans are up in the air, given new provincial legislation that prevents municipalities from removing traffic lanes to make way for bike lanes without approval from Queen's Park. In the meantime, area residents say they're astonished this keeps happening.
It's a little crazy that people are that upset about it, that they'd be willing to keep coming here and knocking it down and having the risk of getting arrested and going to jail.
The Parkside Drive speed camera has issued more than 70,000 tickets and generated over $8 million in fines. Reporting live, I'm Janice Golding. Now back to Michelle.
Thank you, Janice. A construction worker suffered serious injuries after falling through a floor at a downtown condo tower. Our CTV News chopper was over the scene at Yonge and Bloor, where the country's soon-to-be tallest residential building is under construction. Toronto fire crews responded to the call with a rescue squad and initially reported issues getting to the worker on a platform. Fire crews say he fell off a platform from the 67th down to the 66th floor. His injuries have been described as life-altering. The Ministry of Labour is now investigating. And a dramatic scene on Queen West this morning where a tractor trailer crashed into a bus shelter. Police say thankfully no one was inside that shelter at the time, but you can see glass on the ground. One person in a vehicle did suffer non-life-threatening injuries in this crash.
And take a look at this. The CTV News chopper was over the scene of a fire at a high-rise in the West End. It broke out on a 6th-floor balcony at 100 Hyde Park Avenue. One person was treated for smoke inhalation. The cause of the fire is under investigation.
Also tonight, the stars are out and shining on day 5 of TIFF. We'll take you to the big red carpet premieres, drawing film fans today.
And we have more news in a moment, but first here's a look at the forecast and a live shot of the city. It's going to cool down tonight. You'll need a light jacket if you're heading out, but on the bright side, we've got lots of sunny days and warm temperatures to look forward to this week. Lindsay Morrison's here with a look at the current conditions, and right now things are pretty good.
Not bad at all, Nathan. Dare I say, all is quiet on the weather front, and that's a good thing if you have outdoor plans over the next couple of days here. It is currently 18 degrees in Toronto. Yes, we did have a little bit of a cool start, but we rebounded quite nicely in the afternoon. That's just the kind of weather pattern we're going to be dealing with for the next little bit here. Winds are pretty light. Worth noting that they are coming out of the south. Not much to show you on the satellite and radar. We've had a couple of fair weather clouds here and there, but all is looking pleasant into the evening hours tonight. Although overnight we will be clear, calm and cool, and those are the ingredients needed for frost. So coming up, we'll show you which parts of Ontario are under a frost advisory outside of the GTA and take you through what you need to know for the rest of the week. That's all coming up. For now, Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. It is day 5 at TIFF, and the stars continue to shine.
Among the big names in town, Scarlett Johansson, the woman who currently holds the record for being the highest-grossing actor in box office history, just walked the red carpet at Roy Thompson Hall, and that's where we find CTV's Sean Leathong. Sean, she's making her directorial debut, and there's all kinds of buzz surrounding this film she's brought to TIFF.
There certainly is, and like we know, Scarlett Johansson is usually in front of the camera, and that's a huge attraction here at the Toronto International Film Festival. With her directorial debut, Eleanor the Great, Scarlett tells this unbelievable story of a woman who's 95 years old. She'd been living with her best friend for many years. Her friend passes away and then moves to New York City to live with her daughter and her grandson. When she's in New York City, she takes on the life story of her best friend as a Holocaust survivor, posing as that person. But this movie is surprisingly fun. Now, it stars June Quibb, who's 95 years old, and we got to talk to her on the red carpet. She is a ton of fun, I do have to say. But first, we talked to Scarlett Johansson about what it is about this story that she could really relate to. Here's what she had to say.
So rare that a script comes along that feels like a little gem, and it really reminded me of these certain kind of New York-centric projects that are very character-driven that I loved growing up, like Crossing Delancey and Living Out Loud and Moonstruck, and movies that are very much about what it is to be human, and in all of its flaws, in all of its or perceived flaws, and strengths and emotional strengths and all of that. So it was such a extraordinary script.
Look at this.
Hi.
Our microphone goes so well with your outfit.
Yes, it does. I should just take it with me.
Take it serious now. Okay. I might not have a job tomorrow, but it's
That's
worth
all
it.
right.
All right. So she did have a lot of fun. She said playing the role allowed her to really explore that part of herself. Earlier on today, SIU Jury, former president of the Toronto Raptors, was back in Toronto to talk about his movie that he's co-producing, the Basketball of Africa League. Now, it's about this league that many people may not know about. It was conceived of in 2019, where they wanted to take an international basketball league and bring it to Africa. So there are now 12 teams in this league competing among many countries. It's something like a Champions League in soccer, where you can picture each team being the champion of their own country, getting to play against each other. Now, the real part that they wanted to celebrate is how this brings down barriers within Africa. Ujiri himself talked about how many people see Africa as a monolith, but really it's more than 50 countries that have many different customs, many different religions, and he talked about why this is important for him, as he had to say.
When you start to have this come together, it's really special for us on the continent, and that's what this league has done. We've traveled around, been hosted in Morocco, in Egypt, South Africa, Rwanda, Senegal. So it's a caravan league now, but it's going to grow into home and away soon, hopefully, and as we build infrastructure on the continent. But we're big in Africa on bringing people together. It's part of our culture, and for countries and a sport to do this for us is huge.
Now, we know Ujiri has worked with his charity Giants of Africa for many years. He's taken on a role with the United Nations in the last couple of months, but he did say that there is something more on the horizon for him. We talked about how Toronto has always claimed Masai Ujiri and always will, and he said he's absolutely felt the same way, that this is very much like home for him, and they've done something great here, but he is excited for his next chapter. Reporting live, I'm Sean Leathong. Nathan, I'll send it back to you.
All right. Thank you, Sean. And CTV's Andrea Case is at Princess of Wales Theatre, where the red carpet for a much talked about film just wrapped, and you're just swaying from side to side. What's going on?
I'm just coming down from that one. That was a little crazy. So the film is called Frankenstein, and Nathan, it was filmed right here in Toronto. It took about 6 months to make and cost $120 million. So that's great for the city of Toronto in terms of money going into its coffers. We spoke to a number of people here. Baz Luhrmann, the director of the Elvis film and so much more, he's just coming in to watch the film as a fan. Jacob Elordi was here also. But we spoke to the man of the hour, Guillermo del Toro, who wrote and directed this film.
Oh, it's absolutely, it's the only thing you can offer is your voice. How do you renew a song? Your voice. And the way you arrange the music, and the tempo and the tone and the beauty or the pain or the rhythm, So this is a song completely sang anew.
Del Toro's originally from Mexico, but he said it's the crews here, the craft people. He says it's like a family on the set, and that's why he continues to make films here. He made his Oscar-winning film, The Shape of Water, right here in Toronto, and I'm sure it won't be the last film he makes in T-Dot. So that is it for now from the Princess of Wales Theatre, Nathan. We're heading over to see Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, or just Dwayne Johnson now, because he's a serious actor, in The Smashing Machine. That is our next red carpet. We'll have that for our viewers at 11:30.
Can't wait. Looking forward to it. Thanks, Andrea. And still ahead, TSB officials from Canada head to St. Martin after a WestJet flight from Toronto makes a hard landing. The frightening moments on board and the investigation.
Lately, we've been hearing more stories about a serious health issue, people getting sepsis and dying from the body's extreme response to infection.
Now, Canadian researchers are warning the life-threatening reaction has reached the level of public health emergency. CTV's Adrian Gobriel has the story.
Identifying and treating sepsis quickly with an antibiotic can be the difference between life and death.
Someone can go from being okay to really sick in a matter of minutes.
Sepsis can occur when the body's immune system is attempting to fight off an infection, which triggers a reaction that can lead to severe organ damage and even death. In 2020, a report estimated that 75,000 cases of sepsis occurred in Canada, leading to roughly 18,000 deaths each year. In recent months, CTV News has sat down with two husbands who each lost their wife after they gave birth in two separate Ontario hospitals. In both cases, the cause of death was linked to sepsis.
How do you tell your 4-year-old girls that they're never going to see mommy again?
We begged for help. Sepsis is a race against time, but doctors never started the clock.
Critical care doctor Callie Barrett is one of the authors of this peer-reviewed research paper that reveals significant gaps in sepsis policies, guidelines, and health professional training standards, and outlines the urgent need for a coordinated sepsis national action plan.
Every physician completing their training in Canada needs to know what sepsis is, and presently that's not the case. My fear is that we're going to continue to have these stories in the media about tragedies where people have unnecessarily died from a potentially preventable sepsis death.
Dr. Barrett and her team are also calling on Canadians to know the signs of sepsis. If you're at home feeling unwell and are unusually drowsy, you may need to head to a hospital immediately. We reached out to both the provincial and federal health ministries. We're told they're still preparing a response. Adrian Gobriel, CTV News, Toronto.
The Prime Minister rolled out federal assistance for industries hit by Donald Trump's punishing tariffs.
CTV's senior political correspondent Mike Lecouteur has more from Ottawa.
Today we got some details about the billions of dollars worth of help provided for industries affected by tariffs in this months-long trade war.
$80 million of that funding will be dedicated to businesses right here in Atlantic Canada.
That money is being put aside for small and medium-sized businesses in the region and will be shared between the 4 provinces.
What we're allocating here is bigger than the relative share of population, the relative share of GDP of the overall Canadian economy, allocated that way.
It's part of a $1 billion fund to help those businesses affected by the tariffs. But some advocates point out businesses are still trying to repay pandemic loans, and they'd like to see relief in another form.
Perhaps a measure to actually eliminate all corporate income taxes on small firms until such time as we're on the other side of the trade war.
Ultimately, aluminum is a commodity.
In Montreal, Industry Minister Mélanie Joly sketched out some details around the sectoral help.
Quebec aluminum sector will get its fair share, and we believe that with the projects that are being discussed right now with Alcoa, with Rio Tinto, and with Alouette, it's hundreds of millions of dollars.
Both the financial aid and focus on using local aluminum for public procurement projects is being applauded by the industry, but it won't replace what's being lost in the trade war.
We can't just easily transfer what was sold in the US just here in Canada. The market size is smaller.
Minister Joly says the government is doing a full court press in negotiations with the U.S., adding the clerk of the Privy Council, Michael Sabia, was in Washington last week. Mike Lecouteur, CTV News, Ottawa.
In the Middle East, 6 people were killed in an attack at a bus stop in Jerusalem today. 12 other people were injured. Israeli police say the 2 Palestinian attackers were from the West Bank and were shot dead at the scene by a soldier and an armed civilian. Israeli forces were pursuing suspects who aided them, and a suspect from East Jerusalem who was allegedly involved was arrested. The Israeli military is also encircling Palestinian villages near Ramallah in the occupied territory in response. Hamas has praised the attack without claiming responsibility.
Prime Minister Mark Carney says Canada condemns the terrorist attack in East Jerusalem today that has taken civilian lives and injured so many. Canadians extend our deepest condolences to the victims, families, and loved ones, and we are keeping the people of Israel in our thoughts. Together with our partners and allies, we will keep working with urgency and determination in support of lasting peace and security for the region.
Israel's prime minister warned residents of Gaza City to leave now, hours after his country said it would ramp up airstrikes on the territory. Benjamin Netanyahu said forces are organizing and assembling into the city for what he called a ground maneuver. Israel struck and destroyed another high-rise building in Gaza City today, 3 hours after warning residents to evacuate. It was housing dozens of displaced families. The military said it was attacking Hamas observation posts and bombs placed around the 12-story office building. Israel has destroyed a number of high-rise buildings in the city over the past several days. Across the territory, the health ministry said 65 people were killed by Israeli fire over the past 24 hours, 320 others wounded.
Transportation Safety Board officials are headed to St. Martin to figure out what caused a frightening hard landing on a WestJet flight from Toronto.
It left passengers shaken, but thankfully everyone was able to make it out safely. CTV's Rahim Ladani reports.
Passengers on board this Boeing 737 were jolted as their aircraft fiercely made contact with the runway in St. Martin in the Caribbean Sunday afternoon.
It was a very hard bounce. The plane really did vibrate through and throughout.
164 people were on board this WestJet flight arriving from Toronto around 1:30 local time. Moments after flying over the famous Maho Beach, where tourists watch planes pass over them daily, the aircraft made a hard landing, tipping to the right side, appearing to collapse the landing gear.
The last 15, 20 feet of the landing approach, you're going to flare the airplane out, where you raise the nose slightly, increase the lift on the wing, slows the descent rate. If you do that too early, you float down the runway. And if you do it too late, well, I think you can kind of see what happens.
Passengers had to slide down the aircraft, and emergency responders deployed foam as a precaution. 3 people were taken to hospital for medical evaluation, but the airport is reporting no injuries.
At first, it really wasn't registering. I was more concerned about getting off and making sure my wife was okay. But now it's just to think about it. We almost lost our lives.
In a statement, WestJet says, at this time, we are awaiting confirmation on the exact nature of the incident. Our teams are focused on supporting our guests and crew, ensuring their safety and care remain our highest priority. John Genetakis and his family are stuck on the island. They were supposed to fly home to Toronto before the incident, but have since had multiple flights canceled and say WestJet isn't communicating with them.
I've emailed, text, we've called, no response at all, nothing. That's the frustration. It's just no communication at all, zero.
The Transportation Safety Board of Canada will be sending a team to lead an investigation into the incident, but add the agency does not assign fault or determine civil or criminal liability. Rahim Ladani, CTV News, Toronto.
Coming up, high stakes, the lure of online gambling among teens, the flashy ads and easy access fueling calls for stronger regulations in Canada.
And I'm Pat Foran. Coming up on Consumer Alert, when buying a used vehicle, it's one of the most important things you need to check: the number of kilometers on the odometer. The man who bought a used truck was shocked to find out his odometer had been rolled back. All of that story, that's just ahead.
Well, once again, a frost advisory is in place for areas like the Algonquin Highlands, Renfrew County. You know, it's possible that some communities are going to be close to freezing overnight tonight. 2 degrees for the low in Bancroft, 4 in places like Peterborough and Waterloo. Waking up tomorrow morning in Toronto, you can expect the low to be around 9 degrees, but the afternoon looks sunny and seasonal. A full look at your forecast is coming up. Stay with us. CTV News. We'll be right back.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
Odometer fraud is when someone rolls back an odometer to make it seem like a vehicle has lower mileage than it actually does.
Getting a Carfax or a used vehicle information package can help spot odometer fraud, but it's no guarantee. Here's Pat Foran and Consumer Alert. Pat.
Thanks, Nathan and Michelle. A man bought a pickup truck from a dealership and checked the Carfax before he bought it. When he went to trade in the vehicle 2 years later, he was shocked to be told the odometer had been rolled back. What did you first think when they said the odometer might be rolled back?
Well, I was completely surprised and taken back by it.
Gabriel Graziano of Woodbridge purchased a 2019 Ford F-150 2 years ago. At the time, he checked the Carfax report, and it showed no issues with the mileage. But he just went to trade in the truck to buy another vehicle, and now the Carfax report states potential odometer rollback.
Obviously, it's going to affect my resale value and my trade-in value, which it did.
The truck currently has 153,000 kilometers on the odometer, but now it appears the actual mileage is closer to 200,000. Graziano believes the odometer was rolled back by about 44,000 kilometers. He went back to the dealership where he bought the truck, seeking compensation for the added mileage.
I was not given the proper information when I purchased the vehicle. I want them to take the truck back.
Carfax Canada told CTV News the odometer records in question were not available to Carfax Canada when the individual purchased the vehicle and therefore not displayed on the vehicle history report. However, after further investigation, we believe there is a strong possibility this vehicle's odometer has been rolled back. We did a story with Dennis Estevez, who purchased a truck with 184,000 kilometers, but the odometer had been rolled back from 320,000.
Clearly, it was rolled back, and it needed a lot of work.
Criminals can use tools to change odometer readings. The Ontario Motor Vehicle Industry Council, OMVIC, recommends you get a Carfax report, a used vehicle information package, and take a vehicle to a mechanic for an inspection. After CTV News reached out to the dealer where Graziano bought his truck, it agreed to compensate him for the rolled back odometer, which was great news for him.
Very pleased that CTV came through and the dealership came through, and looking forward to getting the new truck.
And rolling back an odometer is illegal, along with the Carfax report. You should also look for service records that can tell you the mileage every time a vehicle had an oil change. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
Well, an all-new September week is in front of us, and I'm just going to say it. This is stellar September weather. We're getting a lot of beautiful conditions.
Yeah, it's a really good start to the work week and school week. Lots of sunshine and lots of good days to look forward to.
Yeah, I think those who are missing summer already will enjoy this week, and those who enjoy fall weather, well, we'll get little tastes of it, especially in the morning hours. It can be a little bit cool, especially if you don't have a jacket, which hopefully by now you're starting to recognize that it's time to get out a few extra layers earlier on in the day. Let me show you what it looked like a little earlier this afternoon. What a beautiful day. Not only did we have sunshine and a blue sky, but we had very calm winds, and after a bit of a cool start this morning, we had some comfortable temperatures. Look at that plane coming in for landing under over top of a glittering Lake Ontario, thanks to all that sunshine. All right, let's talk about your current temperature. We are at 18 degrees still at this hour, 16 in Muskoka and Wyerton, 19 in the city of Windsor. Now today, we were not going to come anywhere close to our record high of 35 degrees, but that's okay because instead we were nice and comfortable. Point Pelee, the hot spot of the province, at 21.5 degrees. Not too hot. There's the frost advisory once again that is in place for sections of Ontario. This is well north and east of the GTA, so not quite a concern for us yet. In the Toronto area, that frost. But if you are worried about some of your plants tonight, you could always cover them up or bring them inside if you can. 9 is our forecast overnight low. That is below seasonal, but should be warm enough that patchy frost, not a concern for us. Tomorrow's forecast daytime high is about 23 degrees. Seasonal is 22. Sunshine through the afternoon. Great looking day. On the satellite and radar, not much to show you here. It's been mainly sunny. There's a bit of a disturbance happening north of us and well to the east over on the Atlantic. None of this is going to impact us because we have high pressure locked in place, at least for the next couple of days. I do want to point out that we could see a bit of an increase in cloud cover as we make our way into Wednesday, but it's worth mentioning that Wednesday could also be our warmest day of the week, not just with the temperature, but also a little spike in humidity. That cloud expected to clear as we make our way into Thursday. Friday looks good with a mix of sun and cloud as well. I'm going to talk about the weekend in just a moment, but there's the temperatures. 25 degrees for Wednesday, 24 on Thursday. Feeling warmer than that once you take the humidity into account. All right, let's talk about the weekend. It is early, but do want to mention that we expect a mix of sun and cloud for the most part on Saturday. Bit of an increase in cloud cover going to happen during the day. And then Sunday, potential for some unsettled weather. How much rain? Well, that's still a bit of a question mark. But at this point, prepare for it being unsettled, not just Sunday, but into the day on Monday. Overall, though, our temperatures look to be holding, at least for daytime highs, in the low 20s. And overnight lows maybe sticking around in the teens as the week goes on. That's your look at the forecast. Carry the fire for a world free from the fear of cancer with the Princess Margaret Home Lottery. Buy early, win more. Over 17,000 prizes will be awarded, valued at more than $12 million. That includes a $7 million grand prize featuring an Oakville show home built by Gata Homes, plus $500,000 cash. The home is awarded fully furnished, professionally designed, and landscaped. Or the $3 million early bird prize package, including a lakefront Muskoka cottage, plus $50,000 cash. The $1.2 million bonus prize package with a luxury Yorkville condo, $50,000, and a pair of season tickets for both the Maple Leafs and Raptors, plus the VIP prize, the BMW and Bali, or take $100,000 cash. If you buy your ticket before September 12th, you will be entered to win one of 3 loyalty cash prizes of $25,000. Get your tickets today at princessmargaretlotto.com or by calling 1-866-631-1234. Nathan, I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Also tonight, fostering connection and shared experience with local and international voices. We showcase TIFF's 3rd annual Black Excellence Brunch after the break. It's a growing concern for a number of young teenagers, online gambling, and is prompting calls for stronger regulations.
As our health reporter Pauline Chan reports, legalized online gambling has turned any smartphone into a betting platform.
About 18 months after single-event sports betting was legalized across Canada in August 2021, Dr. Sean Kelly says he began seeing adolescents, mainly boys, coming in with online gambling-related problems.
It tends to be at the lower end, 12 to 13, all the way up to their young 20s.
But the thing that really drove home how influential online gambling ads are was an incident with one of his own kids.
Asked me what the difference between plus minus and an over under was. And that was, hearing that from a 7-year-old made me become keenly aware of who was being affected by these advertisements.
And while there are restrictions on who can participate in online betting,
just like all adult-oriented online content, keeping youth away from it has yet to be effective in certain spaces.
Dr. Kelly says the harms tend to be mostly financial, but also things like substance use, anxiety, and depression can result.
I'm very concerned that suicidal behavior may seem like a reasonable solution to a financial problem that they have caused for themselves and their families.
The Canadian Medical Association Journal says we can't wait for a rash of severe results like teen suicides before acting on the problem of teen online gambling. And they're supporting a new bill to create a framework of stronger restrictions.
A number of advertisements per segment, number of advertisements per broadcast, there's a whole bunch of different ways that this could be measured and addressed.
Bill 211 passed its second reading in the Senate in June, but the CMAJ says it's just a first step. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Returning to our TIFF coverage, and excellence in the Black community was honored during a special brunch this morning. CTV's Andrea Case has those details.
Unbothered, like our ancestors did, still we rise.
The third annual Black Excellence Brunch held at RBC House and sponsored by Tourism Jamaica honored those who are making a difference in the film world right here at home. Marsha John Greenwood is the VP of People and Culture for TIFF.
Creating room and space for our community to come together allows them to, fulfill and ideate and think about the things that they've been had in their head, but can actually share it.
One of those recognized, Planet Africa. 30 years ago, the event, platform, and party was started to give the community a home.
It's everything. As a Black filmmaker, you want to see your peers, you want to celebrate your peers, you want to see your friends, get a chance to just reconnect with them and celebrate, lift them up. So that's why I always come.
Director Hubert Davis's film Youngblood had its world premiere at TIFF on the weekend. The Black Excellence Brunch is a much sought after ticket. It gives people a chance to mix and mingle and have a bit of a party early in the morning. But perhaps the contacts they make, the friendships they build, will lead to work in the industry one day. Andrea Case, CTV News.
Artists were also honored last night for their contributions to film at the 7th Annual TIFF Tribute Awards. The fundraiser supports TIFF's year-round programming and recognizes the film industry's outstanding contributors and achievements, with awards honoring performers, directors, and new talent. We caught up with some of the stars being honored ahead of the ceremony.
The biggest highlight was directing, really, and is directing. But it's a different kind of feeling, right? It's a big picture thing, and it's something that you start from the beginning all the way to the end, and it can be years of your life. And then, it's just all the years. It's just so many years, and having met so many people and having a lot of friends in the industry, so that when I come back here, I get to see them all with their silver hair. And I'm like, remember when?
I'm really feeling humbled, to be back in Toronto. I started part of my career in Toronto. One of my first big jobs was a pilot in Toronto many, many moons ago. So it feels good to be here. And it feels good to be honored for an Impact Award. I don't feel like I really made an impact yet, but I feel really honored to have it.
Other honorees included Catherine O'Hara, Guillermo del Toro, and Channing Tatum.
And some of the biggest names in music were in New York last night for the MTV Video Music Awards. Lady Gaga led this year's nominations with a total of 12 and accepted the award for Artist of the Year. Mariah Carey was the winner of this year's Video Vanguard Award. Alex Warren won the Moon Man for Best New Artist, and Sabrina Carpenter won big, scoring Best Album for Short and Sweet. After the break, a chilling death threat or a deep fake? The case of a mayoral hopeful and a Clarington councillor takes an interesting twist. Could AI be to blame for a threatening voice message?
It wasn't until then the police started showing up, because they pulled into my driveway with the lights flashing and then backed out and started parking. Then I got up to look, and that's when I saw two of the residents there.
Updating our top stories, the province's Special Investigation Unit's been called in after a man died following an interaction with police. Officers were called to a home yesterday and used a taser to subdue the man they say had a knife.
Every time I hear the camera's down again, I cringe.
A municipal speed camera on Parkside Drive has been cut down for the 7th time. The latest incident at the site on the eastern side of Hyde Park happened over the weekend. Local residents and politicians question why no one has been caught yet and want changes to the road and sidewalks to make the area safer.
At first, it really wasn't registering. I was more concerned about getting off and making sure my wife was okay.
Canada's Transportation Safety Board will investigate a hard landing by a WestJet plane in St. Martin. 3 people were taken for medical assessment after a safe evacuation following the flight from Toronto yesterday.
Remember to keep up to date day and night at ctvnewstoronto.ca and by downloading the CTV News app. And if you have a news tip, photos, or video of breaking news, let us know.
Air Canada's flight attendants gave a big thumbs down to an offer from Air Canada. B&M Bloomberg's Morella Fernandez has tonight's business report.
99% of the flight attendants who voted against the wage offer. The offer included a 20% wage increase over 4 years for those with 5 years or less on the job. Negotiations will now go to a mediator, which will avoid a strike. Flight attendants did strike in mid-August, paralyzing the carrier and upsetting the travel plans of thousands around the world. Shares of MDA Space plummeted more than 20% today after the Canadian company announced it lost a $1.8 billion contract. That agreement with EchoStar was for more than 100 satellites. EchoStar has now announced a $17 billion deal with SpaceX. Strathcona Resources is raising its offer to buy Meg Energy, going from about $28 a share to close to $31. But another big oil player, Cenovus, also has an offer on the table, which the Meg board has already approved. Here's a look at how the trading day ended. The Canadian dollar is up to 72.43. West Texas Intermediate is up 39 cents to 62.26. Western Canadian Select dropped $1.55 to under $50 a barrel. And the TSX dropped 22 points today, but remains above 29,000. Those are your business headlines. I'm Morella Fernandez.
The Business Report is brought to you by Canadian Western Bank, the bank built for business.
A heads up for Line 1 subway riders. Service will end early at midnight tonight and tomorrow between Shepherd West and St. Clair West due to scheduled track work. The TTC says shuttle buses will run in place of the trains until the end of service.
A municipal councillor in Clarington is claiming a threatening voice message she allegedly left was the work of artificial intelligence and not made by her at all. This after a retired police officer claimed the woman left the message on his phone telling him not to run for mayor. The woman now says she's the victim of AI cloning. Here's CTV's John Benavalli Rao.
Well, Karina Trail has not yet commented on camera about the incident. In her statement, Trail now says she never left the threatening voice message in question, which this former homicide detective received on his phone in late August. In the message, someone who identifies themselves as Trail can be heard using expletives, saying he shouldn't run for mayor in next year's election.
And that if I don't, she will come to my house and kill me and sexually assault my wife.
Convinced it came from Trail, Tom Dingwall notified police who are investigating. Initially, Trail addressed the voicemail, in part saying it was an unfortunate circumstance she was dealing with. But in a new statement writes, "I want to state clearly and unequivocally, I did not create this message. I have been advised that artificial intelligence technology was involved. Portions of the voicemail were my voice, but other parts were artificially generated." Adding, "I have not addressed this issue until now, as we were working to ascertain the source of the message." Replicating someone's voice using AI has become incredibly easy. Often it requires simply going to a website or downloading some software and then providing a sample of the person's voice.
The tools nowadays, with around 20 seconds worth of voice, you can do an awfully good job. Any public figure, it has no hope of protecting their voice.
Clarington's mayor says because the matter is under police investigation, he can't say much. He says Trail did not appear at a council meeting this morning and that the matter has been a distraction.
It's not helpful to public's confidence in the system at all. So a distraction, yes. All-consuming, no.
Trail says she'll continue to cooperate with the investigation and that she plans to stay on as councillor. She also says she's received messages of support and wished Dingwall well in the upcoming election. John Benavalli Rao, CTV News, Clarington.
In sports, the Toronto Blue Jays are off tonight before beginning a 6-game homestand.
Well hit ball, deep right field, and the Yankees lead 3-0.
Toronto is still 2 games up on the Yankees in the American League East after yesterday's 4-3 loss in New York. The Jays welcome Houston to town tomorrow for 3 games, followed by a weekend set against the Orioles.
Just Ahead is not supposed to be in this country, but the wild animal already has a nickname and a following. The latest on Austria's moose on the loose.
And a reminder, the CTV News at 6 podcast is available as a download every weeknight. And a special shout out to those of you listening to the newscast live on News Talk 1010.
A disturbance call ends in a loss of life.
Tonight, eyewitness accounts to a dramatic scene at a North York home. A man dies after being tasered by police. Good evening. The province's Special Investigations Unit has been called in to get to the bottom of what unfolded.
The call ended with officers deploying a taser, and the man who was hit did not survive. CTV's John Muslim has been following the developments and joins us live with more. John.
Security video from a neighbor that shows what happened before this all began, and we can tell you there was a man who was agitated on the front porch trying to smash his way into the home. That's what brought police here, and other people were concerned about what was happening, and now the SIU is trying to determine what caused this.
Police were called to this home near Finch and Keel on Sunday evening just after 5:30. There was an interaction with a 32-year-old man inside. Police said Sunday he was armed with a knife and a taser was used to subdue him. This man lives across the street and he describes what he saw.
I saw someone across the street on the veranda. Looked like he was banging on the door or something. It wasn't until then the police started showing up because they pulled into my driveway with the lights flashing and then backed out and started parking. Then I got up to look, and that's when I saw two of the residents there, their renters. One was shirtless and a woman. Already the police were already talking to them.
Police say the man was handcuffed after the taser was deployed, and shortly after, the man went into medical distress. First aid was administered, but the man died at the scene.
We were inside the house when I saw they see all those police there, all those car of police.
Investigators with the province's Special Investigations Unit say they will review officer body camera footage to determine what happened.
These are things that we're going to be looking at. Did the taser play a role in this man's death? Was there any type of physical struggle that might have contributed? Were there drugs in his system?
Investigators say the victim lived in the lower level of the home for the past few months. Neighbors say the home is a rental property, and police have been here before regarding noise complaints. This woman, who did not want to appear on camera, says it's an ongoing problem.
Yelling, screaming. Nighttime, there's always Friday, Saturday parties, drinking, running till 4 in the morning.
Police say other residents were home when this happened. The SIU says a knife was recovered at the scene.
However, how that knife may or may not have played a role is under investigation. As I said, we have not yet reviewed the body-worn camera footage, and witnesses are still being interviewed at this time.
The name of the victim has not been released. An autopsy will be conducted tomorrow to try and determine the exact cause of death. Now, in the security video that we've obtained, you can see the police arriving on the scene. They're shouting commands at the man that police are on the scene. You also see a woman in the window above me waving for help. There's also people on the street as well. That's what brought police here, this disturbance that began on the patio. And then now the question will be what happened inside this house, what led to the taser being deployed, and what caused this man's death. Reporting live, I'm John Muslim, and I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, John. 3 men convicted in the random shooting death of a Brampton engineer 7 years ago are getting a new trial. 26-year-old Nnamdi Ugba was gunned down in March 2018 while walking to his car near Scarlet Road in Eglinton. Police say he was an innocent bystander and believe the suspects randomly targeted someone in the neighborhood as part of an ongoing gang rivalry. 3 men, Trayvon Miller, Abdullahi Muhammad, and Abdi Rahman Islohi, were found guilty of first-degree murder in 2020. But now the Ontario Court of Appeal overturned those convictions, finding moose are majestic animals and usually keep to themselves.
But on occasion, they venture into our world, quickly becoming the center of attention. That is the case in northeastern Austria, where this very moose showed up nearly 3 weeks ago. Emil, as he has been named, was spotted in the city of St. Polten on the weekend, and the sightings of this animal have drawn curious onlookers. But wildlife officials are urging people to avoid feeding him or approaching for photos and videos. Moose are not native to Austria, and it's believed Emil came from Poland via Czechia, Austria's northern neighbor.
Not the biggest moose, but I certainly wouldn't approach.
A mini moose. I know. I think I'd still try to get a video, though.
Be careful. It's a wild animal. Anyway, how are things here?
Yeah, things look lovely. I mean, look at that live shot behind us there. Although the sun is setting earlier and earlier, so get outside and enjoy it while you can. Tomorrow, though, there's plenty more in store. Here's your day at a glance for Tuesday. Forecast high 23 degrees, mainly sunny skies, sunny and seasonal. Hey, the next 3 days for checking out the Toronto International Film Festival look great. Whether you're in a theater or walking up and down Festival Street, enjoy slightly warmer conditions through the middle of this week. And then one more look at the 7-day forecast shows the potential for some wet weather as we head into the weekend, especially on Sunday and maybe into Monday. Michelle and Nathan.
Looks great. Thank you, Lindsay. That's it for us, but be sure to join Omar Sachedina tonight at 11 for CTV National News, followed by Zarada Ullman with our next local newscast at 11:30.
In the meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and all of us here at CTV News, thanks for watching and have a wonderful night.